Hello! This is THICC, and I'm here today to start off my THICC builds series. Have you ever seen the quick builds in the PHP? No? Well, if you haven't, it's because they're rather small and they're rather bad. They don't get much traction in the D&D community other than those live presented Critical Role videos. But those are many years old and not many people have seen them in the grand scope of our community. I'm here to present an alternative, perhaps a little bit more in depth and with a higher quality. Today I bring to you THICC builds that go into much more depth, but still are a very basic representation of a quality build for a specific class. One that can be adopted by many a person and many a player. But first, let's review the quick build for today's episode, the Rogue. The PHP recommends that you put Dexterity the highest stat, then Intelligence for investigation or if you're going to be an arcane trickster, or instead of Intelligence, Charisma if you're going to be social heavy or deceptive, and then you pick a charlatan background. And of course, the PHP Player's Handbook doesn't have any other book in the future as a reference, so over time, naturally it is going to become a weaker example. So, let's get on to some pros. It's prioritizing proactive stats. Very good. Mostly correct. But proactive stats are very good. You'll be very proactive with dexterity and stealth, acrobatics, sleight of hand, and then intelligence or charisma for social/exploration. Very good. Cons. Zero goose egg mention of stealth, the rogue's most important stat. Kind of obscene. I don't know why they did this. This kind of makes the quick build a little bit of a joke. Also, no mention of the con stat importance. Constitution is important for every class. Constitution can be the second most important stat, tied with intelligence or charisma. Keeps you alive, extra HP, what's not to like. No mention of racial choice. Racial choices have many benefits onto a specific build, like rogues, paladins, etc. Even with all of the flexibility that Tasha's Cauldron of Everything introduced as of last year, certain abilities and other drawbacks, potentially, can make a whole lot of difference in one build to the other. Also, it doesn't even explain or go through every detail of what you get at level 1. So, it fails to mention that you get a choice of 4 skills to be proficient in, and an additional 2 from your background, and you get expertise in 2 of those skills at level 1. This just does not mention that at all. And the charlatan background, it's okay, but it's not the best. Now, here's where we get started with the THICC build. For these builds, I'm going to be using the approximately standard game that most DMs will use. Most DMs will use these restrictions, so no variant human, no custom origin, no healing spirit, for example, as a spell or guidance or anything super OP like that. No lucky feat, for example. You're not going to see me say, oh yeah, take lucky and then be very human, and because all my builds would be like that, and that's boring and overpowered, and DMs don't like that. so I won't be using that. Race. We start off with the race. High Elf, Moon High Elf. Why Moon High Elf? Well, they have a lot of lore implications I'll look into later. Also High Elf, Trance. Incredible. We'll be going Arcane Trickster, as you can see down here. So being able to trance and take a 4-hour long rest instead of an 8-hour long rest means that you get all of your spells back after 4 hours and not 8. Incredible, as you get an extra 4 hours of downtime, which you have all your spells available for. Just amazing. Of course, Fey Ancestry and a free wizard cantrip that uses your intelligence. Very, very useful. We'll be taking Minor Illusions for this. It helps with rogue shenanigans. I'll get more into that later. You also get weapon training, in which you normally get longsword, longbow, short bow, and short sword. However, the rogue already gives you short bow and short sword proficiency. So, using Tasha's Cauldron of Everything rules, we've switched that into an Alchemist kit and a Tinker's Tools, respectively. We've also switched the Perception proficiency into Insight proficiency, and I'll get into why a little bit later. Stats. We'll be doing the by-the-book standard array, plus the ritual bonus. Pretty standard, might I say. 8 strength, 16 dex. Of course, dex for the rogue. Helps with stealth, acrobatics, attacks. Sneak attack needs a finesse or ranged weapon, and those are both dex-based. Con 14 helps with living. It's very useful. Intelligence 15, you'll see why 15 instead of 14 in a bit, but helps with investigating, arcana, spellcasting with arcane trickstery, magic. 10 wisdom and 12 charisma. And you'll see why I put the charisma bonus, even though I have insight proficiency. Background, Urban Bounty Hunter. Love the Urban Bounty Hunter. You get your choice of 4 skills. We take Deception and Stealth. Helps with Rogue a lot. For the tool proficiencies, I took Deck of Cards and the Horn. As a feature, we get Ear to the Ground, get 20 gold pieces, very nice, and clothes appropriate to our job, which would be dark hooded clothes, a standard choice among the many clothing types that backgrounds could give you. The skills that we have now are Stealth, which we put expertise in, +7, very, very nice. Sleight of hand, +5. Acrobatics, +5. Investigation, +4. Arcana, +4. Insight, +2. And Deception, which has expertise, to be a +5. These skills will give you a well-rounded utility in every pillar of the game. Subclass we're eventually going to be getting is Arcane Trickster, which is, without a doubt, the best and most balanced in every pillar of the game. Subclass for Rogue. Very, very powerful. Don't blame me for being spell biased. The game designers made spells that good. They really are that good. Our languages, Common, Elvish, Thieves' Cant, and the one that we took is Sylvan. Sylvan will allow us to speak to various Fey-influenced creatures, or Fey themselves. Much like the elves themselves, who are Fey-influenced. So, if we're going down a elven route, which we will be later, Sylvan can be very, very important to us. Hence, I've taken Sylvan. The gear and gear choices. Short sword. I know. Very, very tricky. Controversial. Less damage. Wow. However, we're better at hiding it. Very important. Less predictable in melee, because rapier is just you poke him, you poke him, you poke him, straight line. Maybe you can reach over a little bit at a degree, like so, this or that. A smart enemy with a lot of strength is going to just grab that rapier right out of your hand. Super easy to take. Not worth it. Not worth the potential 2 extra damage per hit. That's nothing in the grand scheme of rogues. Also, short swords, just more creative in general. Like, you got stabs, slashes, you can do hooks, like just like the rapier, but even better. It's a broader blade, so you can really put a lot of force into slashes and etc. Very useful. Also take short bow, good for a range. Eventually we'll try to look for a long bow for a little bit of extra damage at no drawback compared to rapier versus short sword. Leather armor comes standard, as well as the daggers and the thieves' tools. However, out of the kits we'll be taking Explorer's Kit because it comes with the almighty 50-foot hemp rope and the standard backpack. Very, very important stuff. 4 pillars game plan. A lot of people will say 3 pillars, but there are really 4 pillars, and I think you'll come to understand why once I'm done. Exploration, the game plan. Scout ahead and stealth. Use investigation, check for traps. Acrobatics for mobility, the rope will help with that greatly. Sleight of hand, quick something. Quickly take whatever item that comes up. You know, Indiana Jones style. Bring it back to the party, bring it back to town. Get it appraised, sell it. Use the horn in a dire situation. Call for help. If you're a little bit separated from your party, get back to them quickly or have them come to you. Arcana for magic-related situations. I'd like to carefully, silently check the room for traps if you wanted to check for traps. Do I know what this magical thing X is for Arcana? I'd like to just tread quietly over there. These are all example sentences that you can do for going here, here, or there, or doing this. Do I know this? Very, very useful sentences and something that you really learn by watching more experienced players. People don't really tell you how to say certain things and how to get certain skills out of what you say in other guides, and I'd like to change that, you know? Thieves' tools, unlocking doors, the classic. You probably already know that, but I put it in there just in case. Social pillar. If someone catches you, use deception. For example, I'd like to say, "Oh, you didn't hear? The king sent me here on confidential inspection duties." Sleight of hand, or minor illusion, with a deck of cards to fool people. Do a little bit of sketchy work for money. Insight, to see if people are lying or believe your lies. Very, very useful in social situations. To get that skill, does he look like he's lying? / does he believe me? Steal things while others are engaged in social. This is just as useful as engaging in social situations yourself. Being able to take items from shopkeepers or from individuals while people are engaged with them can lead to extremely good benefits should you succeed. And with that +5 bonus at level 1, you'll be succeeding a lot. So, as an example, while he's distracted, I'm going to sneak over here and whisk X into my pocket/bag. Also, use minor illusion to help you with deception. Perhaps you'll get advantage or a +2. Useful either way. Make sure to back up your lies directly with a sound/odor or even visual illusion. For example, I'd like to subtly cast minor illusion to make a sound of a screaming woman over yonder. Now remember, minor illusion has a somatic component, so make sure to keep it on the down low. Subtly cast is crucial wording. You don't want somebody to see you casting a spell right in front of you while you're trying to lie to them. A big no-no. Combat. Stay at a distance. Hide. Use concealment with minor illusion. Make a 5x5 crate or barrel. Hide behind it. You could get +2 partial cover to your AC, or mostly covered for +3, or total cover for +5 AC. That's huge. And Minor Illusion is the gateway. Make sure to be judicious with your attacks. Attacking will take you out of stealth, rules as written. So make sure that when you launch an attack with your short bow, to have a guaranteed source of sneak attack. This could be you're just in stealth and you're undetected, or one of your other party members are engaged within 5 feet of that target. Both of these will give you sneak attack. The fourth pillar of gameplay, downtime. If you have a lot of downtime, it very much feels like an additional pillar of the game. A lot of important and impactful things can be done during downtime. For instance, for this character, you want to research magic, you can seek out wizards, scrolls, old spellbooks, libraries, etc. What you want to do here is you want to help the magical transition at level 3 to be as smoothly and immersive as possible. You really want to sell that roleplay. What we also want to do is look for better gear to suit our needs, our proficiencies. We want to find studded leather armor, a nice upgrade for leather armor. We want to find a longbow. We want to find the tools that we need, like alchemist supplies and tinker's tools. We want to get the horn. We want to use these tools to make certain things during downtime to help us. Again, trance as a high elf is going to give us a free 4 hours a day to use these tools and make things. Very, very useful. Future theory. ASIs, feats, and other skills. At level 4, you probably want to take Elven Accuracy. This is where the 15 int comes in, because we'll get our choice of int, wisdom, or charisma, or even dex from this feat. We'll take the int, round it up to 16. Now we have a +3 int bonus, and the rest of the Elven Accuracy feat, which means when we have advantage, which we'll have coming out of stealth with an attack, not only do we get our sneak attack, of course, but we also get effectively double advantage. We get to roll one of our dice again, which means more frequent crits on sneak attacks and crits in general, and of course more often hits. Either way, statistically and just the subjective feeling of hitting more often, very, very good, very satisfying. Gotta love it. For future, level 6 plus your dex, we take expertise in Arcana to help with magic, and sleight of hand to help with taking things here and there. Level 8, we get even more dex. Now we have 20 dex. Maxed out. Feels great. Level 10, we get another ASI. Upgrade our int, increase our saving throws and whatnot. Saving throws are more important because at level 9 you get magical ambush, which means while you're hidden, all of your enemies will have disadvantage on saving throws of your spells. Which means, if we increase the saving throws even more, and increase the DCs rather, they'll have an even harder time passing them. And you can incapacitate whole swaths of creatures, shutting down whole encounters. It's amazing. Level 12, we will bump that up to 20, maximizing it up. And at level 16 and 19, we'll just take some cursory feats. You might recognize these if you're interested into D&D builds and optimization here and there. Just casual sharpshooter and mobile to round off the build. We'll get into those and other things later if you'd like to see an extended build, where I do higher spell theory all the way up to level 20. Let me know. Magic item wants. A lot of people don't have them in their builds, but I think it's important to be able to know which sort of items, even in the book, not necessarily homebrew, could help you out. Help out your basic game plan in all 4 pillars of the game. Cloak of Elvenkind gives you advantage on stealth while you have it up, and people trying to see you with perception have disadvantage. Very useful for a rogue. Oath Bow. Give bonus damage for a little bit on a creature. Quite a good amount of damage, and it is the highest upgraded bow in the DMG for magic items. Very useful. You see plus X arrows, so plus 1, 2, or 3 arrows. The good thing about using bow and arrow is that there are magical plus ammunition and magical bows, meaning just from a basic attack, you could be getting plus 6 on attack rolls and damage just from the ammunition and the bow. Super effective, super good, super satisfying when you start rolling 35s. Feels great. Frostbrand Short Sword. The top of the notch magical short sword. Here we go. Frostbrand. Comes with additional cold damage. Comes with additional magical effects. Shuts down light. Perfect for sneaking around. You draw the sword. Shuts off all the light nearby. You sneak around in the dark. Now you're, as an elf, 60 feet dark vision. Very useful in this situation. The Frostbrand, that's what you want. Plus X studded leather. Better AC. What's not to love? Ring of spell storing. Utilize any leftover spell slots, store them into the ring, and now you have more magic at a later date. What's not to love? A little bit of future spell theory, only up to about level 3 or so. Again, if you want me to do an expanded build, comment down below. Cantrips, Shocking Grasp. You'll get a guaranteed mage hand and message. Shocking Grasp is really, really good if you're stuck in melee with somebody and you really don't like it, because you don't want to get hit as a rogue, or as any character, but definitely as a rogue with a D8 hit dice. Shocking Grasp, if you hit, and if the enemy's wearing metal, you have advantage on the attack roll, so odds are you'll probably hit. Then they can't take reactions until the end of the next turn. What that means is you can safely run away and go hide with no worry of opportunity attacks. Simply amazing. You dealt damage and you were able to maneuver. Incredible. Just as a cantrip, unlimited use. Your guaranteed mage hand through Mage Hand Legerdemain gives you an invisible mage hand, which will be able to use all sorts of tricky techniques. Very, very good. And message. Send a message quietly through a whisper. It goes through walls. It goes through buildings. It's very useful as a scout to relay information in town, in a dungeon, wherever you please. Perfectly complements the rogue. Find familiar. You pick an owl. The owl has that +3 perception with advantage, and this is why we switched perception from the elf into insight, because we'll already be getting a +3 perception, because we'll be able to see through the owl's eyes and get that +3 perception with advantage whenever we like. Simply incredible. The owl also has +3 stealth, flyby so it doesn't incur opportunity attacks, 60 feet flying speed standard, and 120 feet dark vision. An amazing boon and asset to your sneaking and stealthing and scouting. Now, familiars can also use the help action in combat to give you sneak attack. It can use Shocking Grasp while you're hidden, so it can launch attacks for you. And it has a ton of other creative benefits. One example is you can stuff it away into an extra dimensional space and then spawn it 30 feet anywhere 30 feet in front of you. So if you see a door, you can't unlock it, but you know that through tapping it, it's not 30 feet thick. What you can do is have your familiar disappear, and then spawn it on the other side of the door, and then see through its eyes and try to open the door from the other side. Simply amazing tactics. That all sorts of creativity and all sorts of proactive creative play that you can get from Find Familiar. Absolutely take Find Familiar. Sleep. Completely amazing and underrated even at higher levels. Because the commoners, rules as written, have an average HP of 4. Sleep, you roll 5d8 even at level 1. So if any commoner is trying to, say, tattle on you for stealing or what have you make up sleep. And then you can deal with them in whatever way you like. It might mess with your alignment if you deal with them a certain way, but sleep will get you there. Sleep will also help you lose people that are chasing you. Sleep will shut down a whole slew of lower level encounters. Easy wins. Easy, easy, easy. Sleep is incredible. Disguise Self, a rogue's dream, and you can get this at level 3. Combine this with a high deception that we already have, and we can frame people by transforming to look like them, disguising our voice through deception to sound like them, maybe add a flourish with minor illusion, and you can do all sorts of dastardly things. For example, rob stores, or get into all sorts of other mischief. And not only do you get the benefit when you're not disguised anymore, but also that person gets framed. And you can do all of these sorts of things in broad daylight and have the consequences fall on somebody that you don't like, which is just mind-blowingly amazing tactics that you can do at level 3. Now, an example backstory. A lot of people don't include this into their builds, but I'll give you one. Mardino was a small lad when he first learned his cantrip everyone was looking forward to. Minor illusion helped him on family hunts on the outskirts of town. His dad used their pet owl to help hunt for snakes, which had a high demand, and helped his family get by selling odd bits of animals off to local butchers and druids. The latter's magic and mysticism always fascinated young Marty. This is where Marty's yearn for magical skill and the trinkets that came along with said skills began. And soon, Marty was using minor illusion to get up to no good, taking important talismans that he had no idea the importance of, for the town he lived in and the wilderness that he and his family made a living from. The local wild slowly deteriorated with the waning druidic influence, and this impact steamrolled on itself and became exponential. Eventually, the local royalty sent out an emergency investigation into the matter and searched every home, eventually getting to Marty's family and figuring out the truth. Marty was exiled. As the talismans were returned, a young elf sent away to a far-off city where he learned and refined skills to no good end, until he landed a job as a bounty hunter in Karza Central City. However, this job was weary and dragged down Marty's mind, grinding away at his once positive nature. He needed to return to the wilderness and search out magic and magical trinkets once again on an adventure. Thank you guys for coming to this THICC build. If you enjoyed, leave a like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you guys some other time. Thank you. Alright, Twitch chat. This first YouTube video will be cut, highlighted on Twitch, and then uploaded.